Welcome to Antriksh Talks, Brands and Stories, where we meet industry leaders and founders. Today we are meeting Mr. Laxman Katakkar, a seasoned industry professional and leader with over 4 decades of experience in manufacturing, right from precision components, IT, integrated electrical systems, automation, automotive, and so on. He has led businesses with full P&L responsibility, driven global expansion, has worked with global OEM leaders, and has led companies towards international readiness, to driving the whole organizations towards global standards. His profile reflects a rare combination of engineering depth and business leadership. Hello, sir. Welcome to our podcast.
Hello.
Thanks for taking the time today on a Sunday. We are troubling you, but we found your journey very interesting and wanted to speak to you about your interesting 4 decades of journey across engineering, business leadership, international operations.
So I started my career in 1983, just after passing my diploma, and then I did my graduation while I worked. So it was very very hard, but that is how it was meant to be. So I completed my graduation. I also went for masters. Could not complete masters though, but I did my graduation and worked in hardcore manufacturing to start with. Manufacturing gives you the feel of how the things are done.
Right.
As a mechanical engineer, that was my curiosity, that how the things get done. So my core experience is in manufacturing. Then I moved to also engineering, product development, tool room, R&D. I also happen to be a contributor to 2 patents,
Oh,
which are approved by European Union and US Patent Office. So so that gave me a flavor of also innovation and creativity. I became a business leader very early in my life. So I started being general manager when I was 30, and then became CEO at the age of 43. And continuously learning has been what my DNA has been. So you learn from your teams, you learn from your customers, you also learn from the interaction that you face during reviews.
right.
Sometimes you face reviews which are very hard for you, but I always look at it, oh, this is my learning. How can I improve? How can I make sure that the next review becomes better for me?
Right.
And this continuous learning has helped me come to this level. I contribute to several organizations. I also work with multinationals. I was in Germany. So all of that has helped me build myself as a kind of all-round leader, and I keep learning still. Things are changing now. I'm focusing on learning AI, learning something called as ESG. Also, I last year completed the course in independent director, so I'm a qualified independent director.
Oh,
And I also have learned, that part of Ministry of Corporate Affairs, the company law, the procedures, and so on. So this is what I wish to continue doing, help with my leadership and experience going forward, and also keep learning more and more as the things change.
right. And it's very inspiring to see that even after achieving so much and at your age, you're still trying to learn new things, to innovate yourself as a person, as a leader. And it's certainly inspiring for the younger generation to see this and to understand that learning is a continuous thing.
Isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
we keep
Yeah.
learning every day.
Right. And you started back in the 1980s, and today it's 2026. So when you look back at your journey across 4 decades, what do you think has changed the most in manufacturing?
So, well, as you know, manufacturing is the backbone of industry. So in the industry, when you talk about industry, manufacturing is what comes to your mind.
Right.
And when you say manufacturing, the DNA of manufacturing remains constant. Whatever age you are in, the DNA of manufacturing is the discipline, the daily performance review,
Right.
and the processes that you follow. And the very basic part of manufacturing is converting raw materials into finished goods. So this parts remains the same.
Right.
But over 4 decades, so many things have changed. The world has become globalized. The many processes have got standardized. Many good practices have been shared across. So technologies have changed, processes have changed, lead times have changed.
Right.
The factories have become more visual. So the understanding, perception of the factories has changed.
Right.
Over the period of time, there have been various standards that came into picture. For example, ISO 9000, which was not in picture in 80s.
Right.
TS 16949, which is specific to automotive.
Hmm.
Similarly, there is extraordinary focus now on the environment protection.
Right.
There is also focus on employee health and safety. So these standards also have changed the manufacturing practices. So as I said, while the core DNA remains the same, these practices are making the big shift in the today's world. As you know, I worked with several organizations, starting with Philips and then Tata Autocom Group, Dow Chemical. I was also in Germany, and that's how I got exposed to various manufacturing practices across the world.
Right.
And what India is benefited today with the young talent coming to manufacturing is to use all these best practices, put them into your manufacturing setup, and get the best yield out of it. So, as I said, the core remains the same, but if you are adapting to the upcoming technologies, upcoming processes, then you are relevant. So,
Right.
that's what I see this happen.
True. I think that, yeah, that's a very good takeaway because technology is changing like crazy. But as you said, the core discipline of manufacturing remains unchanged because that is what drives growth.
Right.
And technology is like a catalyst now and on the
Absolutely.
shop floor and on a global scale. And as you said, you have worked with these big brands as well and driven international operations across like Philips, Raymond, Tata, Dow. So, like, what were the biggest leadership lessons that you took away from your tenure at these companies?
So leadership, as you know, is a very important subject. It's a very vast subject, and as you grow in the organization, in your careers, getting exposed to various leaders that you work with, getting exposed to your peers,
Right.
you learn a lot. I was very fortunate enough to work with Tata Group, and also more fortunate to have exposed to Mr. Tata himself
Oh,
2 to 3 times.
great.
And I mean, he is my ideal as a leader, and you learn a lot from that kind of a leader.
Right.
So while there are various aspects of leadership, ultimately it is the team that you need to take care of, and the team delivers ultimately the results that you are looking forward to.
Right.
Two key areas that I have focused on are trust and empathy.
Mm-hmm.
So trust also itself has several elements to it.
Right.
But if you are able to build that trust within your teams and within multiple teams, the outcome is far more effective, the far more closer to your objective, and you reach there faster.
Right.
Similarly, your empathy plays a very important role because while you grow in the organization, what helped me is my roots have always been in manufacturing.
True.
I started from shop floor. So relating to my shop floor employee as to what he is going through day to day and empathizing with that helps me a lot to connect with the team. And these are the two key lessons. Well, as you know, leadership is a very vast subject.
Right.
And while you learn from good leaders,
Mhm.
in the journey, you also learn from not so good leaders
Right.
as
What
to
not
what
to
you
do.
should avoid.
Right.
And that is what I kept in mind and kept on developing my leadership style.
You spent a considerable amount of time in Europe, in European operations. So while you were working there in Germany, so like, what did you think is the difference in their approach to manufacturing compared to what we do here in India or what we used to do in India at that time?
Couple of key differences which start with first of all discipline. So
Mhm.
when you talk about Germany, it is very high level of discipline. You'll see people following the road signs and signals at 2 a.m. in the morning, and these
Mhm.
examples we see day in and day out, and that comes in the culture.
Right.
So German culture is discipline. Second most important part when I was working there and what I got exposed to the European and Western culture is there is no follow up. If you are assigned a task, it is expected that it will be done.
Right.
And in case you have a difficulty, in case there is a delay, or in case there is some challenge that you are facing, it is you who is expected to come forward and share with the team that
Right.
this is what given to me, this is what I faced as a challenge, and this is what I will be doing. So that others are aware that something was expected, but it's not happening,
Right.
and others also support you in getting that done.
Right.
So these are the key aspects of manufacturing culture when you talk about Germany, Europe, or other areas. And of course, the focus on quality, focus on precision. So these are the very important aspects, and that's why we say that when you go to Germany, things work like clockwork, or
Right.
same with Japan.
Yes.
And that is because it comes through their culture, and that is what I learned about and tried to inculcate as much as possible also into myself and my teams.
Right. In India, it feels chaotic, right? And sometimes it feels hopeless as to how we can imbibe that discipline in certain people, in India. So, what do you think can be the key difference for the younger generation to adopt this kind of a approach to whichever industry they are working in?
Right. I mean, it's good and bad. I mean, if we have to compete globally, if we have to be globally, relevant, you must follow the discipline. There is no choice. There is no shortcut to that. And when it comes to manufacturing, obviously there is no shortcut to discipline.
Right.
But today's world, there are people who say that okay, it's you only live once. If
Right.
we look at younger generation, so they say I'm not going to bother myself much, so I'm going to take the life easy. So it's how you look at it. If you are committed to compete globally and make your industry relevant more globally, then there is no choice. Discipline. You have to
Correct.
follow those very, very strictly.
True. There is no shortcut. There is no other way around.
There is no shortcut.
True. And when we look at manufacturing companies, of course, there is always this motivation to invest a lot in machines, technology, because of course that's the core, element to growth. But like, what truly defines the manufacturing excellence that you feel apart from just investing in machines or technology?
So manufacturing excellence is a domain in itself, and of course you have to keep focusing on state-of-the-art technologies. You should go for the latest equipment, latest processes. Try to automate. Even try to use robotics, but you have to see the balance.
Right.
So you have to see why exactly you're doing this. Is it going to big time change the quality and output of your processes? Is it going to be highly cost effective for what processes and products that you are delivering? Or then it is just because somebody else is doing, or is it because the Western world is doing that we are following?
Right.
So this balance you have to keep in mind. And when it comes to manufacturing excellence, high technology, high level of technology processes play an important role.
Right.
But that is not the only thing. So it's like I would call it that is more like a hardware of the manufacturing excellence, but the excellence comes also through the software.
Right.
It is with the processes, it is the disciplines, it is the review mechanisms, it is how you engage your employees, because it is not the management who is going to bring that manufacturing excellence.
Right.
How you engage your shop floor employees into improvement, into excellence, and try to give them that tendency of raising the bar, the delayed satisfaction, and keep on achieving and more and more. So how you put this complete complete basket to all of this, the hardware, software, employee involvement, that helps you achieve something that we call as manufacturing excellence.
Right. And speaking about like discipline, as you said, in manufacturing, so operational discipline becomes key. So how important, is that kind of an operational discipline when it comes to dealing with global OEMs or forming the right level of collaboration with these global players?
Very interesting subject, because when you are dealing globally with your customers, with different marketplaces, first and foremost you should keep in mind is that it's a different playing field. It is not what you are used to day in, day out. So the expectations are different and the rules of the game are different.
Right.
So when you look at those two, three things which are very important when you're dealing with global customers is it's not necessary that they always expect you to say yes to their expectations. If there is something that you find very challenging, or if something that you are really not going to be able to deliver, it is important to your friend say that sorry, we don't think we will be able to do that.
Right.
So it is expected in this kind of relationship. So that is the first part which builds trust.
Right.
And that trust also comes through discipline. It comes through diligence. It comes through the timely communications, sharing, if there is anything that is not happening. So all of that plays a very important role when you want to become globally successful. So you may have excellent processes, very high quality equipment, but if you are not able to understand these expectations and this cultural aspect of the customer relationship, it will be very challenging for you to succeed in those matters.
Right.
So that is what my experience tells
Right.
me.
And yeah, like we have, as you said, we have heard many stories of Indian companies trying to overcome it, but they underdeliver just because they want to capture this global business.
Exactly.
And that to some extent damages the reputation as
Right,
well.
I mean, that works only once.
Right.
Once the customer comes to know that it's not something that you're really able to deliver, obviously you will not have a second chance. So the tolerance in those markets with those customers is very narrow.
Right.
So you have got to be right the first time.
Right. In manufacturing, of course, the tech part is equally important, but innovation kind of needs to take a front seat every now and then. But innovation in manufacturing is very different to, let's say, industries like IT.
Right.
So, how do you think innovation plays a key role in manufacturing in a different capacity?
So innovation is again, it spreads across various domains, various processes. So when you look at tech companies, the expectation is disruptive innovation.
Right.
Something will be obsolete in coming days.
Right.
The next level innovation, they call it, is called as breakthrough innovation.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily disrupt,
Hmm.
but it changes the scale significantly.
Right.
But when you come to manufacturing, you sometimes see both of these,
Right.
not as often as you see in tech companies.
Hmm.
But innovation is the DNA of manufacturing.
Hmm.
It happens on shop floors, it happens on our processes day in, day out.
Right.
Because innovation need not necessarily be breakthrough or disruptive. We call it something called as incremental innovation.
Right.
So my shop floor employees, they can bring some changes in the process which can improve the output, which can either make the process more efficient, which can improve the quality significantly, which can even make the process safer. So these are also small innovations. They can come through, we call it kaizens, continuous improvement, or they could be really innovations.
Right.
So we promote that. What is important in manufacturing is that when you talk to manufacturing, we also talk about large pool of people.
Right.
You deal with big number of people. And everyone needs to be feeling that I am engaged. It is my business. It is my area that I must improve. And if you're able to build that kind of a feeling, that culture, if you get that engagement, then innovation becomes a normal practice of day-to-day shop floor activities.
Yep.
That is what we try to do. It's not that we always are successful, but the innovation when it comes to manufacturing is in small things and it has to continuously happen. So it is part of the culture.
Right. Yeah, as you said, these 1% increments as well add
Right.
greater value in the long run.
Exactly.
And-
And it stays with you for a long time.
Right. And everyone needs to, feel like they're a part of this, like adding value
Absolutely.
kind of the aspect. But there are different teams involved when certain innovation needs to be actually executed, or it sees the light of the day. So business leadership, engineering teams, R&D work in different zones. But like, how do you see the collaboration leading to the innovation in the rightful manner?
Yeah, I mean, today the teams are very many. There are different projects. The teams are multi-locational.
Yes.
They come from different regions. So they bring in their culture, their value systems into, when we deal with day-to-day work in the factories, in our manufacturing setups, in our engineering, in our R&D and so on.
Right.
So as a leader, what we do is that we have to set the context right. So what are we here for? If everyone is aligned to that, then the collaboration becomes very easy. Otherwise, getting people together to work for a common objective is very different. Everybody has their own set of KRAs, they have to achieve their own targets, but they have to still work together to get to company's objectives.
Right.
So that is where we say that the company value system plays a very important role. And what we have done here at UNI-TECH is we have evolved a very strong value system. Our first value is customer focus through agility and flexibility. So when we are dealing with any project and multiple teams are involved, the context is very clear that what are we working for. Our focus has to be customer focus.
Right.
We have to achieve the objectives which have been given to us, and we have to be as flexible as possible to accommodate any requirements and as agile as possible.
Right.
So once that context is clear, then alignment of the team becomes that much more easier.
Right.
Well, it still is a challenge, but yes, I mean, it can bring a lot of, significant speed in people coming together and working on the project.
Right. And when it comes to manufacturing companies, branding or marketing, like how they are perceived in the market, reliability plays kind of a more important role than marketing itself, because that is what kind of forms long-term customer relationships. So why do you think that becomes a more important factor sometimes than outright that kind of an outreach or marketing?
Yes, I mean, when you talk about manufacturing, reliability of your products and systems plays a very, very important role, and that brings the brand value, that creates your brand image. For example, today we all know Toyota as a brand.
Right.
Toyota is not known for very flashy or very stylish products, but Toyota is known for very, very reliable products.
Right.
Over decades.
Yes.
And that is the brand value they created through core manufacturing practices.
Right.
So Toyota production systems is very commonly adopted across the world, and that builds the reliability into their product. So when you go for a Toyota product, you know that 10 years is given.
Yes.
We have to only think after 200,000 kilometers if anything happens to the car.
Right.
So that is how the manufacturing brings brand value. There are several such examples in automotive, non-automotive, industrial segment. We deal with customers like Caterpillar, Cummins. Both these companies are now more than 100 years old, but both are very, very successful in the market. It is only because of the brands which is created in the quality and reliability of the product,
Right.
which is built through very strong manufacturing practices, very strong quality systems, and that is how manufacturing brings very high brand value creation as a contribution going forward to all these
Right.
companies.
So in a way, the first step to branding or marketing of these companies start right at the shop floor,
Absolutely.
wherein they have to think of how our brand is going to be perceived, not right now, but over the next decade or decades to come. I think that's a very important perspective.
Exactly. Otherwise, you go for a product looking
Right.
at all its, the features and the specifications, and imagine that your car stops on the road, which
Right.
doesn't happen now.
Right.
But then your perception is very different.
Right.
That you see this very nice in picture, but in reality it doesn't work. So
Right.
that making it work in all kinds of difficult situations, sub-zero temperatures to, in the Middle East up to temperatures which are up to 50 degrees C, that brings the reliability into product. It of course starts with design, but the core contribution to making the product reliable comes from manufacturing.
Right. From OEM's perspective, like what are the qualities do you think that make them trusted suppliers in the market?
Most important is to understand their expectations right. Why are they coming to you? Is if you have to first understand that okay, they have a project, it has to be delivered in time frame. So that's what they are looking at, for a supplier. So basic qualities they are looking at a supplier is quality, cost, and delivery performance.
Right.
So how is the goods quality? Are they delivering on time? Is the cost optimum? Going forward, now they are looking at a supplier who can do product development in the fastest possible time.
Right.
Because everybody, all OEM customers, all big companies today are hard pressed for bringing the product to market in a very fast time.
Right.
The lead times have shrunk. So they are also looking at the suppliers who will collaborate, who help them, contribute them in this cycle, reducing this cycle, and at the same time bring some innovation. Are you adding value to their product? Are you helping them compete in their market? Is what they evaluate. So after basic hygiene factors are taken care of, quality, cost, and delivery, which are absolutely necessary, then they look at these aspects. And that is what we try to build in also our team in our organizations, so that we look at the future, we look at qualifying for bigger and better projects with our customers.
There are many manufacturing companies who have amazing products, who have international standards of their products, but they remain kind of invisible in the market. Why do you think that happens in many cases?
Somewhere there is a mismatch, somewhere there is a gap. So first of all, they are not able to present their product to customers in the right way. So they may have a great product, but the customers' expectations and their product, the gap they are not able to bridge. So it could be just a communication gap,
Right.
or it could be the gap in understanding what the customer is looking for. So you can't be great by just saying that my product is great. Every creator feels that my product is great.
Right.
But how the customers is perceiving your product? What are the challenges they are looking at? So taking care of those challenges and helping the customer win in their markets is the focus everyone needs to keep. With my experience, I have been helping our R&D team, our engineering teams to also achieve that. That look at what customer is expecting. You don't have to say that okay, I have done a great job. Yes, you have done a great job, but is it closer to what customer is expecting? So unless you have that focus, unless you understand the market, you will not be able to bridge that gap. So those companies have to look at this aspect, that how am I able to present my product? Is adding value to customer? And then if customer sees value, then the collaboration happens.
Right.
That's fine.
And as you rightly said, the perception matters here,
Right.
because how is the customer perceiving your brand.
Absolutely.
So, like, what role do you think brand perception plays when it comes to global companies trying to evaluate, potential suppliers, partners? What do you think, that plays, like, brand perception as a
Right. I mean, a brand, of course, doesn't get created overnight. So it takes many, many years of hard work to build that brand value into your products. So we talk about companies like, for example, Bosch, or there are big companies like Delphi, for example, or Phonics, German companies, American companies, Japanese companies. Likewise, Indian companies are also coming up now. So
Right.
that brand gets created with the value proposition you build into your product. So first of all, customers should see value for money, and second part is the reliability. चलता ही रहता है. So that kind of thing that product should deliver. That it is very very reliable product. They currently look at total cost of ownership. All the customers are not looking at the buying price,
Right.
but the total cost
Total
of
cost.
ownership. But you may sell the product cheaper today,
Right.
but it might be very expensive to service your product. So all of those aspects, if you are looking at, that brings the brand value. And if you are able to give optimum total cost of ownership to the customer and value for money, then you get long-term business with the customers.
Right. And India is trying to amp up their capacity in manufacturing to the world, for the world. So there are many companies, popping up in India in the manufacturing sector, mostly led and founded by engineers.
Right.
So there is sometimes a gap between, engineers trying to master business leadership or business relations on a global scale. So how do you think engineering teams specifically can better portray themselves or their reliability to the global market in today's world?
Exactly. So for the new young entrepreneurs, it is very important to understand the playing field. There have been companies here who are established several years, several decades, and you still want to compete with them and you want to better your game compared to that.
Right.
So there is a lot of hard work that is going to go in. So that has to be first of all very clear. Focus should be on state of the art technology. While you are starting, you may have challenges in your investment budgets, your infrastructure cost, and so on. But my suggestion and what I have also done in my business is never compromise on the technology. What is relevant today, what is state of the art today, is something that we should continue to invest in.
Right.
Focus on quality, because quality is what going to make you win.
Right.
It's not that there is a deviation acceptable. For yourself, you have to first build that culture that, okay, zero tolerance.
True.
There were companies, if you look at 80s, they were talking about percentage rejections. Then came the PPM, parts per million. Today, everybody is talking about zero defect.
Zero.
So no defect can go out of my plant or my
Yes.
manufacturing setup. So that is another thing that they have to keep in mind, and constant skill building and skill upgradation of the teams, because it is the skill levels that change the product.
Right.
In terms of productivity that you gain, in terms of the quality that you deliver, and the contribution these teams, your employees also can make to improve your processes and constantly, continuously improve the product.
Right. Talking about this field like automation, electronics, manufacturing, this is rapidly evolving. But let's do some sort of a predicting the future game. So if we talk about the next 10-15 years, what are the changes do you think we will be seeing in India or on a global level in this field?
With today's magnitude, 10 to 15 years is a very, very long period.
Right.
So things are changing in couple of years, 3 years, 4 years. That is what is happening. And a lot of disruption is going to happen. Also so manufacturing per se will still remain the same in its DNA, converting raw materials into finished goods. But today, for example, the factories have started becoming visual. Industry 4.0 is playing a very, very important role. So decision making becomes that much more faster, that much more relevant, that much more accurate. So this will even change further.
Okay.
The AI today is playing a very, very important role. So artificial intelligence is changing the scale of the businesses.
Right.
Now, will artificial intelligence also change manufacturing? 100%. It will change the way you look at your business.
Okay.
So if you have to win, obviously you have to adapt to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence per se itself is not going to replace you. But those companies who adopt artificial intelligence faster than you
Right.
could
They are going
potentially
to-
replace you. So if you have to be relevant, you have to quickly adopt these changes. You have to be very flexible and agile in absorbing these changes and implementing within your teams, within your organization.
Right. Do you think AI is playing a great role in 2026 in manufacturing, or do you see it at a very nascent stage right now?
As far as manufacturing, I would say it is still early time. It's still beginning.
Okay.
But you never know. I mean, it can spread very fast. Once people know how to adapt it, once people start using it, it can move very, very fast.
Right.
So that is what one needs to be open to understanding what is AI, how to make decisions on AI. And AI works in all the fields. When you come to manufacturing, it can help you in marketing, it can help you in supply chain, it can help you in finance, it can help you in project evaluations, and it's the manufacturing practices or processes by themselves.
Right.
So you have to see how quickly you can adapt, and obviously not to very blindly follow that, but use your intelligence, your experience along with AI. Is what we are looking at this. So we are going to plan a strategy for our organization that how to adopt AI going forward, how much to and how much not to. Both the decisions are very, very important.
Right. When it comes to other areas, AI has sort of a error margin, which is acceptable in today's market because everyone has assumed that AI is, evolving, developing. But in manufacturing, 0% error is what is expected.
Absolutely.
Right.
So you cannot make a mistake. You cannot
Right.
go wrong, when you adopt that.
Right.
And that is where this balancing will be required. So we'll also evaluate how much we can go, how much we should not go, and make sure that we step by step adopt any new technology for that matter. Today's AI, there could be something else coming in
Right.
3 to 4, 5 years. So when this changes happen in the world, we should adapt, we should accept, but to the extent that we can, help your organization.
As a business leader, I'm sure you have done many things right to be where you are today. So, what are the top 3 qualities you would say that is non-negotiable for any business leader to excel in their field?
So we talked about leadership earlier, and yes, I have learned a lot from very many leaders. I have learned from myself. I have learned from my mistakes. So one of the things I am focusing on is that okay, I can transform whatever my learning is. That the new leaders at least don't make the same mistakes.
Right.
They can make different mistakes, but not the mistakes I did and I learned from. So I try to transfer that knowledge, and the focus is on building these new leaders. And my personal view is that if you are able to build leaders better than you, then you have contributed. So
Right.
that is what I'm trying to look at. 2, 3 areas that I would suggest, for the new leaders looking at other than the leadership qualities, is a very high level of customer orientation. That if you are to be successful in the chosen field, you cannot forget what customer expects, because
Right.
customers is what is going to decide the future of your organization. Focus on innovation.
Right.
Adaptability, flexibility, at the same time bringing innovation in your own products. How are you going to compete in the cutthroat competition globally? So focus on innovation is number 2. And third and most important part is team environment and team building, because ultimately your teams are going to deliver what your dream is, what you have in mind. So other in addition to all the leadership focus that we talked about, I would suggest these 3 areas will definitely help the young generation, the young leaders, to be successful in their chosen field.
Right. You have spent 4 decades in this industry. What continues to motivate you today to even do better, or to continue to inspire others and excel at what you're doing?
So I have been, as you know, learning throughout my career. I became CEO at the age of 43. So it has been last 17, 18 years I have been leading the organizations.
Right.
I became the leader also at very early stage of my life. So it has been continuously learning.
Right.
And this people interaction helps me and keeps me motivated all the time. So you keep learning from everyone. So like I can now transfer my experience. I also keep learning with this interaction with the people, with the young teams, and that of course keeps me motivated. And as I said, that I am now looking at how my more than 4 decades of experience can help the industry, can help the upcoming leaders, and I can contribute to their organizations, to their careers, and help them become more successful leaders. In turn, helping India become a known, relevant power in manufacturing going forward.
Right.
So that is what I'm looking forward to.
Okay. Young generation and manufacturing, right? In today's world, many companies are struggling to retain or get the right kind of young talent and train them to a level wherein they keep on adding value without being swayed, with the wrong ideas in mind. So, how do you personally deal with the younger generation? Younger meaning, freshers who have completely opposite ideologies to you. So, how do you deal with them? How do you?
I mean, it is a challenge the entire manufacturing industry is facing today. So, attracting the young talent to manufacturing is one of the area that we keep focusing on. So what young generation today is looking at is a lot of flexibility. I know we came from a generation where reaching office on time, doing everything as per discipline was normal. That is what
Yes.
we followed. That is what we were proud to be doing. Today generation feels this is a lot of binding on themselves. They want a little more freedom. So giving that flexibility while we still continue to work in manufacturing setup is what we are trying to deal with. So there are areas where we can give that flexibility. There are areas where we cannot give that flexibility. So this is one part. Second part is that with the change and the rapid change of things, this young leaders or young generation gets bored very fast. They don't want repetitiveness.
Right.
Whereas in our generation, we learn that it is repetitive, day in, day out. You have to
Right.
continue to do that. So how we innovate that? How we can give them a culture where okay, they can innovate something, they can try to do things differently, and at least get to feel that okay, my suggestions are accepted. I am being taken into account, and I don't have to only follow the instructions, but okay, I am also part of decision making. So that is the kind of culture that we are building. Easier said than done. We also have some experiences where we thought something would happen this way, but it did not happen. And we are open to their views. What is important is to listen to young generation
Right.
and not force upon your views. And that is what, the learning part, as I also learned during my career.
Right.
So that is what we keep, doing in this area.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, we are experimenting few things, trying to bring glamour back, trying to attract the talent to our organizations, how to do that. We also provide scholarship if you want to, someone wants to take higher education. So
Interesting.
trying to help, young people to learn more, get educated better, and so on and so forth.
Great. So it was personally enlightening for me to interact with you. I learned a lot, and I'm sure our viewers have enjoyed listening to you and have taken away key insights from your conversation with us today. And thank you so much for giving us your valuable time.
Thank you. It was great talking to you, Rishabh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.